All right, guys, I know ICP has been having a little bit of a rough time since we hit $10, but I am here. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what's going on, and I got a great AMA coming up. I'm going to include it right now. I got Richard waiting from probably one of the best projects I've seen on ICP, and these are the type of projects we got to support. We want ICP to be successful, but first, we go through some data. What is going on with everything? I know some people are probably a little bit worried, but let me tell you something. This graph looks pretty good. It's pretty well set up. If you look right here, it found support, same place as last time. There's support around the 770, 780 level, which is basically what it hit last time also. So to me, this is great because before we were going down about 7 and a little bit below, we're going to the 6s. We're not going there anymore. This is looking pretty solid that it's basically holding this 8 line, which is great. If you go to the dashboard, you can see the burn cycles have come down. See, this is the whole thing you guys got to understand. Adoption, 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 okay? The adoption is what took ICP and is going to take ICP to the next level, $20, $30, $40, $50. And I got a TA guy that's going to come on live with me sometime next week, by the way. He's one of the best traders out there. He's going to break down ICP. So make sure to subscribe and like, because this guy, he makes all his money by trading, and he's a big ICP supporter and holder. So we're going to talk to him next week also. So this is the kind of stuff that we got to really analyze to see where it's going. Now, what are we going to do to get the cycle burn rates up? So you can kind of see the cycle burn rates is starting to fall back down again. That's because of Bob and Burn are kind of, Burn is doing okay, but it's not doing, the number. Bob was the one that was burning most of this. First, we need more projects. And that's why I brought Richard from MinePro on. We're going to talk to him, okay? Because these are the type of projects that can take ICP to the next level. If you look at ckBitcoin, there's 289. How much is that? 289 times the price of Bitcoin right now. What is that? What is that? Let's see. It's only $17 million. There's $1 trillion, over $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin. Imagine if this chain key technology was used, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars was on ICP. Imagine the liquidity that it opens up. Proving the technology on ICP is the best technology. So we're going to talk to him because they're going to be using chain key Bitcoin to pay people while they're mining. These are the projects, adoption, that these are the projects that are going to bring adoption. They're going to take this number up, that are going to take also, they're going to help burn, and they're going to take the cycle burn rate up. If you look at the total burns, it's still going, okay? It's still going pretty well, but we want this to accelerate. I mean, this number is still crazy. It's still doing incredibly well, but we want more burns. We want more circle burn rate. We want more canisters to be opened up. We want all of these numbers to be increasing, and they're doing well, but we want more of it. That is what is going to drive up the price of ICP in the long term. In the short term, guys, I think we're okay. I think 770, 780, 750 maybe is kind of the bottom. To me, this looks good. Lower lows, higher highs. I'm excited. I think ICP on the next run, probably in the next 30 to 40 days, 45 days, is going to go well over $10. And we could be looking at that right here, this $12 to $13 range where we were going back and forth for a while. That is the goal. But before I get into this, let's bring on Richard. I'm going to bring on Richard because this is the kind of projects, guys, that we got to talk to. So let me bring him on real quick. All right, I got Richard here, and he is from MinePro. You are the president of MinePro, correct, Richard?
Yeah, right now, again, things are happening very quickly, and things are in transition, but yeah, it's looking good right now.
All right, let me ask you this before we get into it, because MinePro made their initial overview on Definity, on the forums and everything. Before we get into it, can you please give us a little bit about your background, what you know?
Sure, yeah, and so my background is on the engineering side. Graduated from the University of Alberta for mechanical engineering. Went into the Alberta oil and gas industry for 5 years. And then when Alberta deregulated their electricity system in 2001, I jumped into the power side of things. And so I've worked for 4 major power companies here in Alberta, mainly on the business development side and building power generation. But I guess back in 2018, 19, somewhere around there, I actually resigned my position to do power generation on my own for Bitcoin mining. And so it's been a very fun space.
So you're in Alberta, you're in Canada.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And you have your own like facility where you do the mining and everything, or like
Correct. Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah, and so basically, all the way from the very beginning on the design side, the build and the construction, the installation, the procurement of all the generators, the containers, the Bitcoin mining computers themselves, all the electrical, and then kind of own, operate, and maintain. So kind of the full gamut from start to finish.
So from what I understand is you guys are using flare gas is from the fields to get the price down to like 2 cents a kilowatt hour. Is that what you guys are using also?
Yeah, and one of the projects is using flare gas. Other projects that I've got going is actually just straight stranded natural gas. And so imagine, there's a bunch of different gas wells feeding into a gas plant, but the gas plant, due to economic reasons, shut down a number of years ago. And so the gas wells are still there, and there's lots of gas there, but there's just really nowhere to go. And so instead of spending, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for the gas supplier to kind of abandon it and reclaim it and have the gas gone forever, it's a great win-win where we come in, we put our generator right at the gas well, flow the gas, and the gas company is still making money off the gas. We get a nice, great, low-cost source of gas. And by reducing all the middlemen in regards to, well, there's no pipeline, there's no gas compression fees, there's no wires, so no transmission, no distribution, no tariffs and things like that, we can get really low on our cost of power. And so, again, everyone's looking for sort of, free power or 2-cent power and things like that. I would say, yeah, because we can access that low-cost natural gas, which is the main feedstock to run the generator for power generation. There will be times where we can get as low as 2 cents. When things are running really well. Obviously, everything is in cycles. Big generators, you still need to do oil changes and spark plugs and general maintenance like you do for your car. But other times when it's running pretty smoothly, like the shoulder season right now, when it's not very hot and not very cold, it just kind of goes and goes, and we can get our costs down to very, very low rates.
You're the first one I've interviewed that has actually talked about maintenance. Like, that's like, it just shows this stuff in and out. Like, you're excited about this. You understand the stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I can talk power generation and Bitcoin all day long.
Do you guys have, like, from what I understand, a project like this that's going to bring millions of dollars of miners hopefully in there? Is there security? Like, the miners are in a secure space, they can't just be taken away, or how does that all?
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I've been mining since about 2019. I've never had anything stolen, but having said that, yeah, I've got security cameras inside the containers as well as outside. I've got the containers are locked. I've got kind of those air tags.
Air tags, yes.
Air tags inside some of the computers in case somebody walks away with it. But I've also got insurance as well, and so.
Oh, that's right. So you can buy insurance for the whole facility.
Correct. Yes. And so I've been fortunate to not have to use it, but definitely it's there to help me sleep at night.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would think it would be really great is, like, maybe as people are getting to know your project and seeing the potential it brings and the adoption it can bring to ChainKey Bitcoin for ICP community, I think what would be great is maybe one of the other videos, maybe we can do it from your field, or maybe you can, maybe you can show people your fields and how it all works. That could be something right down the line.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, that's pretty easy to do. Two of my facilities are about 2.5, 3 hours from Calgary, and so very, very easy to get to.
That is awesome. So let's talk about, why do you think, what do you think is going to make MinePro successful compared to, there are other obviously mining projects, but they're nowhere near this 2 cents a kilowatt hour. You guys are obviously offering what I would consider to be institutionalized rates, right? Not everyone can get these rates. There's a big investment that's made. But besides that, like, what else are you guys advantage are you giving to the retail investors that are coming in?
Yeah, and so basically, it's probably a number of different things. One is it starts with that low cost power. Your biggest cost for mining Bitcoin from an expense side of things is your cost of power. And so just getting that low cost natural gas, again, removing all the middlemen and kind of doing it yourself, saves you a ton of money in regards to the power rates you do. Obviously, with that comes some risk as well. You still need operational excellence. Make sure the generator is running properly, all the computers are running properly, and uptime and things like that. So you need operational excellence.
The runtime, what do you expect the runtime to be on these? What are you seeing generally?
Yeah, for natural gas, 95% is sort of the target. Budgeting, you always say about 90% for budgeting. But target is always about 95%. Again, you're going to have what I'll call planned maintenance in regards to oil changes every few months, your spark plugs and air filters, and cleaning of the rads. But you also you're going to have other costs during the winter. Snow plowing to get to the site in the summertime. You're going to have to clean out pollen and things like that. So there's going to be general costs like that you need to maintain.
What I found interesting is that you guys are trying to be, I would say, pretty transparent. In fact, you guys are using Loka Mining, which is a decentralized pool, which I don't know any of the projects. I heard there might be, but I think Loka is the only one that's on ICP. So you guys are trying to use Loka Mining to give an extra layer of transparency. And from what I understand, it's a non-custody pool.
Correct.
So this is what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that the tokens go from the Bitcoin miners into the pool directly into people's wallet. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah. And so what I really love about it is the non-custodial aspect to it. And so basically it goes right from sort of instead of traditionally going from sort of your Bitcoin mining computer over to a pool, and then after a day or so they send out the Bitcoin to a wallet. My understanding is by using this technology that they've got, it goes directly over into the actual MinePro pool itself. And so very, very transparent and non-custodial. So again, it lowers the risk of, as opposed to putting your money on exchange or pool.
Right.
It's non-custodial.
I mean, these are the type of projects I think can kind of revolutionize the space in which this is one of the most decentralized mining BTC operations I've seen, including the way you guys have done the tokenomics is pretty cool too. But just the decentralization and transparency it's pretty revolutionary to bring it to ICP. I thank you guys because, like I was saying, we need to get some of these numbers and adoption up on ICP. That's the key here.
Yeah, no, and I think this is a perfect use for that. So very excited to go down that path.
And then Loka Mining switches all the Bitcoin to Chankey Bitcoin. They're the ones that do it, from my understanding, and then they send out the chain. See, yeah, this is killer, man. This is, I mean, guys, if we can get more, this is something to remember. If we can get more people using Chankey Bitcoin, we can go from, it was like not much, it was like $20-30 million worth of Chankey Bitcoin. If we can get it up to like 50 or 100 or 200 or $1 billion, then the whole ecosystem of ICP and the adoption and the rate of it can completely change. Like that's what I'm actually excited about as an ICP maxi here, at least. So let's talk about the tokenomics a little bit. So this is what I noticed from the white paper. If I buy the mine token, let's say I buy 1,000 mine tokens, I would stake it. And longer I stake it for, I think you have like a couple months to up to 5 years or something like that. Longer I stake it for, I get a bigger multiplier. So from what I could see, this is what it looks like. Longer I stake, the bigger the multiplier. It's like kind of leveraging BTC. So if you don't have a lot of BTC, if you want exposure to Bitcoin, the way you got to think about it is if you buy the mine token, it's leveraging Bitcoin because you're getting a bigger pool of the rewards that they are mining. So you might end up earning, if you stake for a longer period of time, for example, instead of earning 5%, if you do a shorter period of time, a month, you might earn 20% because it'll all depend on where people put their money into the pools, number one. And then what I also noticed is there's going to be a buy or sell tax, which is going to bring down the number of mine tokens. So would you consider this like a leverage play? Like if I buy the mine token, stake it for a long time, I'm kind of leveraging my ability to earn more Bitcoin than just going and buying Bitcoin. Is that kind of what you're trying to do, like a gamified system?
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And so I think it's a very unique and kind of obviously kind of developing technology with the blockchain and things like that. And you're absolutely right. So it's pretty exciting.
I like the gamified version of it because, like, it's cool to own Bitcoin, but it's different when you earn it and when you can out earn other people on the system. Like, you might put some of your Bitcoin for 1 year, your mine token for 1 year staking, and you might put some for 5 years and some for 6 months. And you could, if it spikes up in price, you could sell it and then buy it back. I mean, it's a whole gamified version you guys have made, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's more exciting than Bitcoin.
Yeah. Again, if you're if you're in it for the longer term, anyways, again, there's incentives and rewards for you to kind of be kind of a long term staker.
So I wanted to also ask you. So you're going to do this raise. You're going to get approved. Well, first, okay. So right now you did the overview. Then you're going to try to get approval to get onto the ICP Launchpad. That's going to be the next one you're going to do, and we all have to vote. And hopefully the ICP community supports this, because this is the type of project we need. It's transparent. You know your stuff. Like, people, if you look at this guy, what he's done in his history, his LinkedIn, it's incredible. Like, he knows how to mine. Like, you are the real deal. The question I have is, some of this money is going to have to be used and taken off chain, which was what some people were asking. And I believe you guys are going to take it in 10% tranches, like at a time. So you can't take all the money because the DAO is controlled by the community. So how does this work? So let's say you guys end up raising, I don't know, 300,000 ICP. How would this work? Would basically you'd request 10% at a time, and then you'd go buy miners, get the miners going, and then go and request another 10%? How will that all work?
Yeah, and typically when, I guess under other situations, we just go out buy the miners in one tranche,
okay,
and just buy the miners and then kind of get them deployed as quickly as possible. But understanding that we're part of the DAO community, and in order to lower the risk in regards to whether it's rug pull or people steal the money and run with it, we want to show the community that we're gonna do it the long way. We're gonna just go in 10% tranches, and just kind of take baby steps and buy miners, say 10% at a time, and keep growing from there.
Okay, so you go take that 10%. Let's say you go buy 100 miners. You got the 100 miners going, right? And Correct. Then you go make another DAO request for another 10%.
Correct. Yeah. And in the meantime, we'd be getting those machines up and running. You'd see all the ckBTC getting distributed out to the stakers and things like that. And so, my gut instinct says, yeah, once we get that very first 10%, we can move very, very quickly. Just as soon as we show that proof of concept.
Right. Okay. I like it. It's a very conservative way of doing it, but the way it works, guys, is this is a real DAO. This on ICP. This is what makes ICP so special, because the community controls the money. You don't have control of the money. The community controls the money. They decide what to do with it. So that's the great thing. And then you guys are going to show receipts. You're going to show the Loka Mining is handling all the distribution. I mean, you guys really thought this out incredibly well. I mean, it's done well. Now, let's say the community says, okay, we got the first tranche and we got the second tranche and it's going well. Can they say, hey, we want to accelerate a little bit? Can we get a little bit more going? Would you be able to do that? Do you know if you're able to? You put a proposal to do that, I would assume.
Yeah, exactly. And so we plan it out in regards to, okay, well, if it's this many and we're looking at this much megawatts of power, this much gas, and so I guess that's my job in regards to, okay, well, find the right locations, the situations in regards to, okay, well, if we need, 1 megawatt versus 10 megawatts of power, what does that look like? And so it's kind of a back and forth with the community in regards to, okay, well, what makes sense, what can be doable, what's the schedule, what's the timelines, and things like that. So yeah, and to your point, yeah, I mean, it's the community that decides, and so they make the rules.
And then as the price of BTC obviously increases, the rewards will increase also, because we all believe that Bitcoin is probably going to go up in the next 2025. At least it's going to rip. Interest rates are going down. I know you probably mine a lot of Bitcoin for your clients. Do you have any predictions where you think Bitcoin is going in 2025?
Well, again, I'm just an engineer. I can't provide financial advice, and so they'll have to go up. But historically, when you look at even the last two halvings of Bitcoin, we just had it in 2024. You look back at 2020 and then 2016. The year after it halves, 2017 and 2021 were incredible years on the price of Bitcoin. And so if that's any indication, again, you're looking at history to try to predict the future. But if you look at that, I'm very optimistic on 2025 for the price of Bitcoin, regardless of what happens with the U.S. election.
You don't think interest rates will help going down?
And there's going to be, whether it's interest rates, whether it's geopolitical, like at the end of the day, we're part of a macroeconomic system, it related to whether it's, real estate or stocks or, gold and things like that. It's all correlated. There's all a relationship. But historically, again, because of the kind of the economics behind supply and demand, with supply decreasing, and I am expecting, demand to increase, I'm pretty optimistic in regards to, the future of Bitcoin.
Do you hold any Bitcoin yourself? I mean, I know you mine it, but do you hold it? What do you do with it?
Correct. Yeah. Obviously, I need to spend some of the Bitcoin to cover off some of the expenses and things like that. But I'm holding as much. Yeah.
I ask you this because I know the people like yourself. You're an engineer, but you're also a miner. And I ask you guys because a lot of times the miners have been able to predict. It seems they're really in tune. The people who mine a lot in where to sell, when to buy. They're usually buying the lows. They're usually selling the tops. Like the miners know, they like start selling when it hits a certain price, and they don't sell when it's low. Like they kind of know. That's why I kind of ask you, because your insight is very, very helpful.
And you make a good point there, because I treat Bitcoin just like another commodity. And so I've been part of the power side of things, electricity. We follow natural gas prices, we follow oil, and things like that. And so it's really a commodity that goes up and down, and you see the volatility. But and people say it's really volatile, but reality is it's not, no different than say power. I was looking at the power prices here in Alberta 2 days ago. In the wee hours of the morning, power was free. There's actually more power supply when the demand was that low, and so there was free power. But during supper time, when everyone was kind of turned on their lights and everyone came home and turned on the TV and everything else, we got up to $900 per megawatt hour. And so, within a 24-hour span, that's a huge amount of volatility.
And this is just for electricity. This is not for your type of electricity.
This is for electricity. This is for electricity from the grid.
From the grid.
There's huge amounts of volatility. And so from a Bitcoin mining perspective, I look at the economics, and treat it like a commodity. And so if you do the math, if you take, let's say an S21 Pro, so 234 terahash, right now we're at about $44 per petahash per day. And so if you back calculate those numbers, one of those S21 Pros does just over about $10 US in revenues per day.
Correct.
If you back calculate that based on using about 3.53 kilowatts per hour, that equates to about 12 cents per kilowatt hour in revenues. When you back calculate the Bitcoin in revenues. So that's about 12 cents as your revenues. And so when you go back to your earlier discussions in regards to, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 cents. So even if we take 4-cent power operations cost of mining Bitcoin, if our revenues are 12 cents, but our costs are 4 cents, that's a pretty good margin.
Oh, that's how you do it.
Correct. And so the key is the lower your cost of power, that's how much your margins are.
Oh, no one's explained this to me like this. That's brilliant. So you're basically saying that it's 12 cents an hour every hour that this machine is on.
So you want the machine running every hour because you're making 12 cents a kilowatt hour.
And then,
but if your costs are 2, 3, 4 cents a kilowatt hour, it's pretty exciting.
It's very high margins.
Correct. Yeah, it's high margins. Now, obviously, I always look at it from a risk-adjusted perspective. So there are risks to mining Bitcoin in regards to, what we talked about earlier, operational excellence, making sure the uptime is there and doing the maintenance and things like that. But, it's a pretty good margin in regards to the risk being taken versus, again, people have other ways to buy Bitcoin, whether it's simply buying Bitcoin, whether it's the ETFs, it's sort of the stocks and things like that. But if you can dollar cost average at such a low cost, and so, let's say price of Bitcoin right now is what, $60,000. But if our cost is 1/3 of that, if you back calculate, our actual variable cost is about $20,000 a Bitcoin is what we're making it at.
I mean, I think it's even lower than that. I mean, you're about 25% of that, it seems.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so I'm being,
so
I'm an engineer,
you're
so I can be a little bit conservative.
so you're making Bitcoin, let's say between $15,000 and $20,000, which is
Correct.
better than, I mean, this is better than a lot of the publicly traded mining companies.
Yeah, and so basically it's that dollar cost averaging, by doing what we're doing at doing it yourself, power generation on our own. That's how we bring our costs down, and that's how we have a bigger spread in our margins.
I get it now. I'm so glad I talked to you, because you actually understand this. No one's been able to explain this to me the way you have, and I appreciate it.
Well, and again, and that's why I'm actually happy to be part of the community. That's what being part of the community means. I've got, again, my focus and passion is on the power generation side. I've got wonderful team members within our community that are way more advanced than I am in regards to ICP and sort of the staking side of things. But they're getting me up to speed, and I'm happy to be part of that community, and we learn off of each other.
You can answer more of the technical questions and how things are going to operate. And
correct.
Yes, and every project like MinePro needs an expert like you, because a lot of times I see these mining projects and there is no expert like you. You are the expert. You are the mining guru who knows the pricing and the grids and how all this stuff works and comes together, how to estimate profits and how it all works. That's what.
Again, one person in a excellent team. So it's actually working out very well.
Well, I thank you. I want to ask the community if they have other questions, because they haven't made their announcement yet to get onto the launchpad. If you have any other questions, guys, please put it in the comments. These are the type of projects we need on ICP. It is very important that this project gets onto ICP. I know Bitfinity, I know Loka Mining are both backing you guys up for a reason. I know that there's a lot of people that are backing up your project because they can see the potential. If enough mining projects see you guys succeed with Loka Mining and ckBTC, it could be huge for the ICP community. I see the potential too. So please take a look at them. In probably a few weeks, you're going to make the new proposal.
Correct.
And vote for them. It's going to be very important that we get projects like MinePro. And I'm super excited. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for connecting with me, and always a pleasure. And hope to do this again.
Take care. Take care, guys.
All right. Thanks.